It looks like we got a major leak for Assassin's Creed Kingdom. Of course, it's not confirmed or anything, but this leaker did share multiple potential screenshots that could be from a very early build of the game. Or, as I saw some people note as well, it could be a Mount and Blade mod that someone made. So let's take everything with a grain of salt, but let's still go over it, because it is pretty substantial and I would not cover it here on the channel if I did not believe that it could be partly real. Of course, I want to ask you to leave a like on the video, because it shows your support. And now let's get into it. Let's go. If you're not familiar, Assassin's Creed Kingdom is the code name for the next Assassin's Creed. That is now as good as confirmed thanks to Kotaku, who had reported on many correct Assassin's Creed leaks in the past, and now confirmed that the tease that was found in Division 2 that I highlighted here on the channel is indeed legit, and that we're going to the Viking era at the end of 2020, because that is when the game is supposed to launch. So yes, that is around the time of the new consoles, so just like Black Flag, this will likely be a cross-gen game, so available on the Xbox One and PS4, and also on the next Xbox and the PlayStation 5. This new leak posted on 4chan says that as well, and that the actual name of this new game is Assassin's Creed Ragnarok. And that's a really cool name, and that's the same name that the Ubisoft artist used when he posted this Assassin's Creed Viking concept art back in early 2018. Like, if you would save the image back then it said Assassin's Creed Ragnarok in the name. So it could totally be that this leaker just used that because it was already out there, or that this Ubisoft concept artist just spilled the beans way too early and that it will indeed be called Ragnarok. I think it sounds cool, but again, nothing is confirmed. Moving on, the leak states that the main character, so the character that you play as, is an ally of Ragnar Lodbrok, and that's a legendary Norse hero, and that you will aid the great Heathen's army that were set out to invade four Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. So this was way larger than your regular Viking raid. It was really about conquering large territories. And this happened from 865 till 878, so that is likely the time period of this game if this leak is correct. According to the leak, the map is really big and split into several kingdoms, including all of Great Britain, Denmark, Sweden and Norway, and also Finland. And Owen on Reset Era made a good illustration of what this might mean compared to Odyssey, because we see that this potential map from Kingdom will be way bigger than Greece from Odyssey, if it indeed turns out to be correct. Of course, maybe they're going to make it a little smaller, but that they would move to a bigger map after Odyssey is something I totally expected, but this is pretty insane. And all those kingdoms should be split into regions as well, that all hold settlements that have some customization and also in-game economy systems as well. So maybe like Brotherhood, where you could of course renovate specific buildings and then increase the income of Rome. With the leaker saying customization and in-game economy systems, I feel that it kind of sounds like that, and it would of course, if this is a really substantial system, add a ton of hours upon the regular gameplay, so I can totally see Ubisoft add something like this. Large scale conquest battles should return, and that makes of course a ton of sense looking at the setting, and this can be used to then weaken the enemy hold on the region, and also for parts of the story. And this next one is a good one. The player does become an assassin and use the hidden blade, and I really feel that there's no surprise there if this is true, because they really have to do this. Like, they can't do another Odyssey, they really have to go back to also making this an Assassin's Creed game. In an interview with Game Informer around the release of Odyssey, Ubisoft already noted that they felt that Odyssey kind of missed the flavor of an assassin and that they are working on that, implying that this next game will likely have more of this. And this was an interview with the Ubisoft Chief of Creative Officer Serge, who also noted that they were looking for a multiplayer mode in Assassin's Creed. Well, according to this leak, the game will feature co-op, and it can be used in most side quests and also for world exploration. So this sounds very interesting. First of all, awesome. Optional co-op sounds a lot like what Far Cry has, and that is really great. Like, I play those games mostly alone, but if I want to play with a friend, I can just explore the world with a friend and have a good time. Like in Far Cry, it does not really impact my solo experience, and I really hope that that will also be the case for Assassin's Creed, but that you just have the option to also play with a friend. And that the leaker notes that the main story missions are not included in the co-op mode is also something that I find interesting, because this implies to me that the single player story still plays a big role in this game, because it's always awkward when you play with a friend and then a cutscene plays and that other character is suddenly gone, or that your friend can just drop in the middle of the story and have it all spoiled. I really hope that, just like with Origins, they focus on one assassin in Kingdom, have sometimes linear story missions that would just not make sense if you have a friend running around as well. Where Ubisoft Quebec is really about giving you the choice, do you want to play a female or a male character? I'm not sure if Montreal will do the same, coming off a very strong and still my favorite assassin, Bayek, and that was really because he got a lot of screen time and they could really delve deep into his background without having to make that work for a female character as well. We do have the game director from Odyssey though saying that he does not know why they would go back from not giving the player a choice between a male and female character. And it would of course also make more sense if we have some character customization if we can play in co-op, because again, otherwise we have two of the same assassins running around. But yeah, overall I would not mind if we just had one assassin in this next game. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but the leak does indeed mention that Ubisoft Montreal, the lead team behind Origins, is taking the lead on Kingdom as well. With Ashraf Ismail, of course the game director on Black Flag and also on Origins, now as a creative director on this game. And also Darby is the narrative director, and he of course worked on many Assassin's Creed games in the past. And yes, he did say that he was not really involved with the series anymore, but looking at his LinkedIn, you actually see that he did work on Origins, and he started working on a new unannounced game in 2018, around the time that this Assassin's Creed game started production. So I totally think that he plays a role in this next game as well, and we of course saw him, Ashraf, another Ubisoft Montreal employee, and the voice actor behind Bayek recently together in a photo as well, so I totally think that those are the people behind Assassin's Creed and also this new one. The first Civilization lore is a bit less than in Odyssey, this leaker notes. You should be finding a Voldo and also Mjolnir, and that's of course the hammer of Thor, so maybe that's an Isu artifact or something. But yeah, not weird that the first Civilization is a little less in this game, looking at Origins, where apart from some temples, there was just not a lot in the main game. We did get the amazing Isu armor though, but of course more in the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC. That was mostly made by Ubisoft Sofia, and they are now assisting on Kingdom, and also planning to create a DLC set in Iceland. And we will be using the Yggdrasil tree to move across the 9 realms. So if this is true, then it's not weird that we will have a DLC that goes full Norse mythology, just like we saw with the DLCs from the previous games. Going back to the main game, to the core gameplay, because the RPG mechanics are returning, not a surprise at all, and the Eagle and the ship combat are all returning as well. Ship combat is also not a surprise looking at the era, while the Eagle kind of is. Like, I already felt that it was kind of cheap to see the same Eagle animations in Odyssey after Origins, so to now have it again in this game, I mean, it works as a gameplay mechanic, but it would have been cooler if they had something else to tag the enemies in the area instead. Again, all rumors, but if we really saw an Eagle again, I would be kind of disappointed. The leaker notes that the ship combat is toned down to focus more on exploration, so likely that you'll encounter less enemies from the sounds of it, so that you're more likely to explore the world, because exploration should be more the focus of this game, with the question marks that should be removed on the map. And they really want players to explore locations for better loot. And I really hope that is true, because that would simply mean that there's more mystery in the open world. That you would really be rewarded by just finding your own path, by looking everywhere. I thought that Red Dead Redemption 2 did a really good job with that, with the many unique items that you could find in the world. So that is totally something that I would like to see in Assassin's Creed as well. And now that you can buy something in the Helix store that will show all the legendary chests in the world, because that will totally ruin, of course, the exploration part. Ubisoft, please don't do that. Overall, according to the leaker, there should be a larger emphasis on build and armor usage, and that would be a pretty logical step for the third Assassin's Creed RPG, with Origins only having the weapons with stats, Odyssey adding the gear to that, and then Assassin's Creed Kingdom taking it really to the next level. And by the way, speaking of gear, you already saw some of the potentially leaked screenshots of Kingdom that are likely from a very early build of the game. It's just proof of concept, it looks like, because of course when we finally see the game in action, the graphics will be way more impressive, especially since it should be available on the next gen consoles as well. Either way, the big thing that we see here is of course a shield. So where Odyssey did not have shields to focus more on the aggressive combat, it looks like Kingdom will have a shield to hide behind again, just like in Origins, and that kind of makes sense of course that the same studio that introduced the shields would continue with that as well. And we actually see a lot of different shields in these potential leaked shots. And also a pretty cool outfit, and that's also a thing according to the leaker, that we should have the ability to change outfits on the fly, and that will have an impact on the region as well, with sheriffs not coming after you if you are likely wearing a different outfit than you had before when you maybe killed a ton of people. So kind of a new stealth element that really forces you to switch between outfits, and it sounds pretty cool. So yes, I cannot stress enough that these are rumors and they could totally end up being fake, but it all does not sound as weird. Like, there's nothing that seems too strange. This sounds like a pretty logical step for the next game. I'll of course keep you up to date if there's more to this rumor, or if it turns out to be fake, or if more things get leaked. Also remember that we're likely still far away from this rumored fall 2020 release, so maybe if it turns out to be real, many things could still change when we finally see the game, likely next year at E3. Like, I don't expect any Kingdom info this year, because that is just not how Ubisoft tends to do things. They announce games closer to release. Subscribe for everything Assassin's Creed if you haven't already. I will keep you up to date here on all the Assassin's Creed Kingdom and Odyssey news. A like on the video would of course be super appreciated. And check out my recent Odyssey video on the release date for the second episode of the Atlantis DLC that is now more clear. Let me know what you think of the rumor in the comments down below. For now, I'll speak to you next time, and goodbye.